For my family.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're live. Oh, dinner with the fam. Here we are, everybody. Welcome to Funday Fridays. We are playing with Miss Rose. We're doing a little bit of different format today, so I'm really excited. And Danielle, if you want, what we're going to do this time is we're going to, um, yeah, here we go. Perfect. And if you want to just hit play, it'll be a perfection. And what you can do, yeah, do that. And I can't see your screen. All I'm seeing is the bottom bar and the little thing going across.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Did you see it before?
Mm-mm. It's always been either up here or down there or whatever.
Okay, wait. When
So,
I first did it, you didn't see the whole screen?
mm-mm. Nope. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. If you're just joining us, we are getting some of our technology all squared away, but we are doing a little different format for Funday Fridays this time. So, Daniela has a session that she worked on with Rose, and we are going to see what we can bring up and share about that. All right.
Do
So,
you see it now?
there, that's full screen. Perfect. Yep, perfect. All right. So, we're going to walk through this together. There we go. Excellent. I love it. Oh, this is great. This is a great way to do this.
Awesome.
So, what we'll probably do is just watch a little bit of this and observe. Oh, yeah, this is great. So, because you can see it too now.
Yeah.
Smart. But every last Friday of the month, we do these live, like in person. So, if you are in the New York area, you can come out and play with Daniela, and maybe she'll even let you pet one of her horses and love on one of her horses or her donkeys or her miniature horses. You've got a handful of them. You saw that little head toss, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that just tells me, remember we did the rope around her hindquarters.
Yeah.
So you can go back and sort of play with some of that a little bit. Good, good, good. That was very nice. You're getting really a lot better about keeping your feet still. So see who's doing more right now, her or you?
Probably me.
A little bit. So you're doing and not a lot. She's kind of thinking about it and trying it. So it's good to sort of give her that grace in the beginning, and then continue on because the backup isn't terrible, but you're working just a little harder than her, and we tend to do that. We tend to work a little harder than the people that we actually ask to have help us. So,
Mhm.
yeah, but I love how you're coming back and checking back in. She's really present with you. She's not freaking out or looking around, touching her and connecting with her, and like continuing to do that. Like these Bella types, like Rose is a Bella, right? So they need. This isn't just a sure would be nice. They need constant reassurance.
Right.
Constant every step. I mean, I know that I'm like that. And you're like, Jen, we've had this conversation like 14 times. I'm like, I know, but you need to tell me again. And that's
Mhm.
too. It's like when when you're in a relationship with a Bella and they get to a place where they're going through a something or in a triggered state, you have to be able to say to them, okay to be here with you and for you, even if it takes 800,000 circles, and
Right.
one of my mentors would say, I've never seen it take longer than 2 days. But man, sometimes it does take longer than 2 days. We're not as fast of a learners as horses are.
Right.
Right there. Remember when she kind of looks away, like how she's kind of looking around away from you
Right.
instead of to you for the answer. So just have just some observations around
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
There she is. And look, and there when she checks back in, you go and love on her. Perfect timing. So these are just little nuances. And what the thing about it is like horsemanship is a lot like any kind of art. You start off with, remember those big pencils that are like, those big Crayolas, when you're a kid, you start off with those kinds of things and finger paints and watercolors and temper paint and stuff that doesn't make a mess. They give you, $50 tube of indigo oil paint to paint with. So that's when you start, but now as you've gotten better with your skills, look at that, really beautiful. Now do you see it's a little bit more even?
Yeah.
Still pushing just a little bit, like she should be pulling the rope out of your hand.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah. And it's interesting because as I was going, I was thinking to myself, kind of the same thing. Like I could see she was going slower, but with these Bellas, it's tough. It's like sometimes you feel like you don't want to go too far, right? Because you don't want to blow her ass up. But at the same time, there's such a fine line with her. Like,
Yeah.
so I realized that I'm very, very cautious with her, and sometimes maybe too cautious. You know what I mean?
Because like you still have to be able to speak your truth and not feel
Right.
like you're walking on eggshells and like she's gonna like blow up and run away or whatever.
Right.
Because you think about like because I am this horse, right? And sometimes you're like, oh shoot, I blew Jen's popcorn. I was a little
Mm,
too aggressive with what I said. And like even today in our conversation and before we got on here, you were like, I don't really want to say too much because I don't want to like push
mhm.
or make you feel bad. But at the same time, you still need to make sure that you are you and remembering that it's a one world, two world blend into a third world anytime you have a conversation or anytime you have, endeavor a relationship. What I love is that you're allowing her, and we're kind of picking on a few key pieces, but let's have an overall, conversation about what you're doing well. I mean, look how
Yeah.
calm she is, and like how
Right.
slow, her head's nice and relaxed. She's like, okay, I can do this. Right? Very nice. Right? So it's really easy. That's a really big pitfall when you're doing a figure eight, is because you tend to back towards the cones
Yeah.
instead of away from the cones. Because what you're trying to do is to open the door so she can go through, but you're looking at the horse, right?
Mm,
That's better. But even there, you can go back, like angle back towards the barn, like a V, just in your technique, like backing away. There you go. One more step
mm.
would have opened. There you go. Like just see how,
Right.
just that one more step would open the door and really make that clear, and how you're backing towards the cones instead of away from them. So she
Oh, right.
for you. Like, see how you're backing towards the cone on the left and your back's towards the cone? Now, I know you're getting ready to do a circle, but you were doing it during the figure eight
Yeah.
as well. So it's just
Yeah.
a nuancy kind of thing, right?
It
But
is, and it's like, I was like, okay, I didn't wanna tell her to trot or walk, I was leaving it up to her, but when she was trotting, I was definitely not fast enough to catch
yes,
her in the, you know what I mean? To
yeah,
direct her fast enough. That's what it was, I felt.
correct. And if you're going to ask there, beautiful, very nice, easy. Yeah, good, 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 good. And then back to the figure eight. Beautiful. And see how she doesn't get worried or upset?
Yeah.
Yep. And now you're seeing it. Now you're like, oh, dang it, I'm going towards the cone. Well, you're trying
Right.
to get her to go towards the cone. How can she do it while you're doing it? Right.
Right.
That's easy enough. Now you
Oh.
see it. Whoops. Or off pattern charge.
I
$5.
know.
Yep. Or it's in it. You know what? It's going to be a $10 charge if she touches the cones, right? Because we want them, and a lot of people teach the horses to touch cones, pick up the cone, put their foot on the cone, and that's great. But when you come out here to do the figure eight or do something where you want them to do something other than what you've already shown them to do, and I'm not sure why you're doing that when she goes around. We're not trying to disengage her, so make sure that when you're doing that, it's a draw from the front end instead of a drive
Right.
behind
I
it.
know, because it's like what was happening, if you noticed. Okay, hold on. Like, let me show you, right? Because is it here? It was like I was trying to get her to turn before.
Like right there,
Oh,
right,
my
right,
bad.
right, right there when you were like turning your head when she's coming around the cone.
Right, because she's going so far, I'm trying to get her to turn her head.
But what
You
needs to happen is that you need to be in a better position. Instead
uh,
of backing towards the cone, driving her hindquarters to bring her to you, you need to back towards the barn and drive her front end through the cones.
uh-huh.
right?
Right.
Draw her in and then drive her. And I know you're trying to stay slow and keep her slow, and you're doing a really good job of that. But like right there, that's confusing because
Yeah.
that usually means game over, come in,
Right.
And so then all you have to do is back a little further away from the cones, just from a technique perspective. But look at that nice little joggy trot. She has like we never knew was in her. Look at that. She's dropping her head, she's relaxing. She's getting the idea. She's doing a really great job. And what I love is that you're just allowing her to move and flow the way she needs to move and flow, and putting
Yeah.
it on a pattern that she can start going, oh, this is what she wants, and feels good about that. Because
Right.
because Bellas need that directive, leadership type when they're a little bit worried, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to pick up that figure eight again. Good. As she comes around this kind, perfect. Good. And then back yeah, yeah. So no more. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Driving
Yeah.
her hind end to bring her in when it needs to be a draw. So
Right.
you just need to back away a little faster and even make a little X, like a V. It's like the cones are here and you're here. So I mean, I used to have to take people physically and like pull them back because it's like it
Yeah.
gets really very specific, like a
I
little
think
shot
I think I need a longer rope for this too because
or faster feet, either way.
okay.
Either one works.
Yeah.
So because you're going to have to, if you have a longer rope, you're going to have to, have better handling with your hands. If you have a shorter rope, you're just going to have to move your feet. That's all. Because she gets moved. She's fast,
Yeah.
and a big moving horse. Here's the other piece: a longer rope. Great idea, would allow you to get her way out around that cone, so you can have some momentum, and so that you won't have to work as hard. Because ideally, it's not back all the way up and then come in. It's like that,
Yeah.
right? And the better you get with where you need to be in time and space with the figure eight itself, the better off you're going to be, because you guys are both doing a really nice job of having a quality conversation. Like even though you could have used more clearer words
Mm.
potentially,
Mm.
conversation itself overall is quite nice. Like she's
Yeah.
not getting worried, you're not having to go big in your communication. Like
Right.
she's really tuned into what you're asking, and she's trying really hard.
Yeah.
And what I love is that when you see that, like one of the things I love about you is that you notice when somebody offers a nice try.
Mhm.
You do it to me all the time. Like you'll be like right here, you're like, she's not trying hard enough. And like, hey, come on, let's go. Right. Like you wiggle the rope a little harder, you give her a little
Mhm.
more information. I want to be really careful too, that when you like wiggle the rope harder, or you go up in your energy, or you change the phase of communication that you're talking to her with, I want to be really clear that it's just not upping the pressure. It's giving her more information to operate with so she can make a quality decision.
Mm.
Because if you look
So
at it as a pressure, there's a negative connotation to that.
so if so like at one point I was trying to keep my rhythm of my steps the same, but her, have her moving quicker, right? Because I
Yes,
remember that was, a thing, like she should be moving and your rhythm should be the same, right?
correct.
So, but I would be catching up to her. So I'm like, okay, so I'm wiggling the rope a little more. But then at one point I used the stick a little because I didn't want to be in her face with the rope. I thought maybe the stick is less pressure, but more of information. But is
More
that wrong?
information piece. No, that's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter, potato, right? We all
Mm,
it's and what I love about you taking that a little bit of an adaptation instead of just getting big like we did the other day,
right.
when on that Sunday let is your awareness that there might be a different way that she can hear what you're trying to say. Because whatever you just did, like that tail swish, yeah,
Yeah.
those hindquarters need some definite friendly game. And
Yeah.
what's going to help support you with that was to go back and forth between asking her to do something, friendly game, asking her to do the same thing, friendly game, right? There's a lot of tail swishing going on.
I know. I picked up on that, and I didn't know if it was that I was moving too quickly for her or if she didn't want me touching her. And yeah, and
She didn't want you touching her.
yeah.
Yeah, she's sensitive back there, and we already knew that, right? Like I told you, she almost gave Gail a haircut that one day. Like, she was like, "Don't touch me back there," and we're like, "We're touching you back there because you're gonna like it." We got like, and to have that playfulness about it is great. But man, she's like, she has a hard time with that area for sure. And I would definitely encourage you to get bigger. Like start putting towels over her back, start putting the rope around her hind legs, like get bigger with it. Don't eggshell around her. You don't like it when people feel like they need to eggshell around you. Don't eggshell around her either. Just be clear about it. There you go. Like you did great there. That was much better. Just her tail did swish, but
Yeah.
it wasn't nearly as bad as the first couple times. Couple times was like, and then she even got like went up in the air a little.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this would actually be a really good time to use cookies. I am
Mm.
very particular about how and when I use cookies. And this would be a good time because she's thinking about her car payment that's due and the ex-husband that keeps calling her, and and you're just kind of poking on that. But if you can interrupt the pattern and go, "Hey, it's just me. I'm just doing my thing. Got nothing for you."
Right. And so what I find interesting about this is when when they're just like in the barn and you know how I have my herd dynamic, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how my herd dynamic is, they're all kind of just free range in it, right?
Yep.
So when I'm walking through the barn and navigating my space around their space, I can touch her anywhere I want. So
Hmm.
it's so interesting that then when we're in this environment, she's like like her view completely changes because like I can push her and I do it a lot actually. Like if she's standing and her butt's in my way, like friendly game her, or maybe it's porcupine game her out of the way all the time.
Yeah. It's a different dynamic. You have
Yeah.
that there you go. She did a really nice one there, but just before she got to the cones. And then I'm looking for any opportunity to reward her, to give her an opportunity to feel good. There she goes. Good. Right there would be a good place to reward.
Mm.
That's okay.
Well,
You-
I was
you're-
talking to her. I was talking to her the whole time. I don't know if
And that's okay. Sometimes you can say, "Good job, keep going." You do that shit to me all the time. You're like, "Jen, that's awesome. Keep going." All right, great. Gotta go. Keep going. Stop talking. Keep going. Move your feet. Take action. Stop talking. I don't want to have this conversation with you anymore. Keep going. Move your feet. And then just to remember to acknowledge yourself when you actually do move your feet. Because most of the times we move our feet and then we go, "Okay, now keep just moving our feet. Keep moving our feet. Keep moving our feet." And we're tired.
yeah.
And that's exhausting. And even though she has like no bottom of energy, like she really can go and go and go and go and go. We've seen her do it. This whole opportunity for you to get some information across to her about the beauty of stillness, which if you guys are watching and want to go to an incredible opportunity up at Daniela's place at the end of July, I'll be posting the invitation in the comments where I think that and it's so funny because Daniela's Sicilian. It's a dolce far niente, right? Am I saying it right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's just the art of doing nothing, the sweetness of doing nothing. And so now, yep, you're on the wrong side of the cones for that one, but that's okay. Yeah, see, now you're on the wrong side of the cones. You need to be on this side of the cones.
Oh,
You
and I thought I was balancing out by doing
No,
different
you are,
different
but
sides.
you physically are on that side of the
Oh.
cones.
Now, is it okay that I let her do
At
this?
this stage of the game, absolutely, because she is remember this too, guys, and if you guys are watching this, I want you to think about this from people and horses, because we know that all of this stuff parallels what shows up in our personal lives. Like, where else does this show up in our lives? People love it when I say that shit to them, but it's true, because where is she in her level of development? This is all about building her confidence, right? Traces and Dantes are generally pretty confident, but Bellas and Mavericks tend to a lot of times question themselves, whether they express their concerns or whether they hold it with inside themselves, right? So where is she in the level of development? Are you in the stage of teaching? Are you in the stage of reinforcing? Are you in the stage of refining? Are you in this influence stage? Like you can, what the reason I think it's so beautiful that you are allowing this to her to go through this is because what is the whole point of this? Is it to get her to go around the cones? She did that,
Yeah.
right? Is it to get her to back up her feet? She did that too. No, this whole thing is about allowing her to feel comfortable with humans. And in the regular world, when you have a brand new, fresh little canvas in the form of a baby horse, and you're an incredible, and you're an excellent horseman, you don't have to deal with as much of this. But if you're in the case in Rose's case specifically, and the rescued horses, all of the horses that you have and I have that are rescues, they are rescued from a something. Now, I don't want you as a human being to think that you need to be rescued from a something. You got to participate in your own rescue. And that is what she is doing. And what you allowed her to do was express herself in a way that was healthy. That was just a beautiful expression. Yeah, you're just on the wrong side of the cones here. No worries.
And it started raining, so I think it's gonna come to an end pretty soon because then it started coming down harder, and I was
Yeah,
like,
I can see the rain. I can see
Yeah.
it. But now you're close. See, now you're kind of on the right. But see how just where you are in positioning and time and space, you're like, wow,
Right.
she's making up for you. She's trying.
So in other words, okay, she's coming around now. I should be in her right side eye view, not in her
In
left.
between the cones, correct.
Right. Got
You
it.
should be on that side of the house, right?
Right.
So
And then when she's there, because I'm stepping back, then she looks at me, then I direct her.
correct.
And then she goes,
When she looks at you, because it's really hard for a horse to look at you like 2 ears, 2 eyes. That's challenging for a
Yeah.
horse to do that, and because they're staring at a predator, right?
Right.
And so when they do that, that's when you're like, yeah. And instead of driving their hindquarters to bring them to you, you can use their front end and be like, yeah, come on in, right? That's a great thing to notice when you think about like in sales. You can drive somebody to a sale, but I want to draw in and attract like lifelong clients and customers, right? And so to drive them into the sale, you can maybe get them once, maybe even twice. But after a while, they're going to be like, yeah, I'll do it. But that's only because you have a rope on my head.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people stay in relationships too long because they have a rope on their finger, or they are in because of the kids or what have you. So when you have that, when she has the opportunity to look at you and she gives you 2 eyes, be like, because that's a big gift. Be like, yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. And then redirect her. So you have that moment of, got you, girl. And she's like, cool. Because I want the people that are connecting with me, when they look at me, I want them to know that I'm going to be smiling at them. Because it's not easy. But this is probably one of the better sessions I've seen you have with her. She's so calm. She's getting more and more confident. Like right now, right here, if this is where you end, that will be a perfect place to stop.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is. I might walk around with her a little at some point, and then it starts coming down, and I just walk right out the arena.
And I think it's cool that you worked with the arena gate open too, because sometimes when you close that gate, that little action can make them feel just that little bit more trapped.
Right. And I figured, since you had said, keep her on lead, that I might as well just leave the gate open. I'm not going to ask her to do anything crazy.
Correct. And you could do this, like the cones didn't even have to be in the arena. It's just kind of a nice footing and a nice setup. You could do that anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I think this was actually just really just a lovely setting. It's really, really lovely session. Really.
Thank you.
Yeah. And like to have this horse, to have her be calm and asking questions and relaxing and feeling confident to roll, I mean, that's probably why you and I are such great friends, because you let me do all that shit. You're like, all right, Jen, I got 3 minutes, go. And I'm like, and but it works both ways.
Yeah.
Because when you do need to ask her to do something, the clarity needs to come up, the decisiveness needs to come up, and you did a really nice job.
Well, it's good. Like there's still those moments of not being entirely sure of what she's saying. Like, I could tell the whole time she was super calm, and I was like, wow, this is good. And obviously, this was coming off of the weekend of you being here, and we had been working with her a decent amount. So
Yeah.
I think she kind of was already like, okay, I have an idea of what she's asking me, because it wasn't new, it was more of reinforcing.
Yes.
And it was just me. So there was no other, there were no other people. And I was super calm, just because it
Yep.
was a chill day. I mean, you could see what the weather was. The sun wasn't beating on us or anything. So I think all those factors were contributing to a beautiful, calm experience, as opposed to
Great.
if like five people had been sitting there watching and the sun was super hot on us. And because she was with me, but not totally with me. But then again, I don't know if Bellas are ever totally with anything. I mean, you know what I mean? Because
True. Well,
be,
that's because you've been dealing with like slightly triggered Bellas in your life for the last little while. Like you've had
well,
a lot of that.
because even with her though, like, she was connected to me. I could feel we were connected, but she's always kind of like, okay, I'm with you, but where's my guys? Okay, yeah, all right, I'm still with you, but where's my herd? I'm still with you, but I wonder what they're doing. Like, she's always still. And I don't know if that's just because we haven't gotten to a point where the connection is stronger,
Yep.
or if that's just always going to be a Bella, like always still thinking about something else on the side.
100%. And here's the best way for me to describe that is that because you remember horses are prey animals. And sometimes that prey animal instinct is right below the surface, like with Rose. Like that's how sensitive they are. Like she's like
Right.
how easy she easily triggered, highly sensitive. Whereas Trace and Scotty, they're like, eh, do your worst. Just give me the
Right.
cookie before it's over and nobody gets hurt. Right. So they still have that prey animal instinct. It's just deeper inside them and not as easily accessible. So I think it's really important to make that distinction and have that understanding around that and know that yes, because it will, she, of course, because she's an individual with feelings and thoughts. If you want something that's not ever going to do that ever, go get a motorbike, right? But what you said, because you're right on both points. That number one, she'll always be a Bella, and number two, as the relationship gets stronger, like before this, like before that session, a lot of times she's like doing this,
Mm-hmm.
like, hello, I'm still here, and she's like,
Right.
oh, okay, yeah, and then, but she was looking to you more and more and more,
Yeah.
and that's just the journey, and the journey you have with a Bella is that's the journey. The journey you have with a Trace or a Scotty is I got to get creative, and make and be differently different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why the person understanding the different personality types is so important, and playing with as many different horses as you can. And I used to be like, no, I just want to be good with my horses. And then I realized that every other horse is just like people. We have patterns, we have different things that we could rely on ourselves for. I mean, it's the same stuff. And the more people you engage with and talk to and understand, the better your palette, the better your, research
For sure.
is.
Yeah. And, it's interesting too, because I think sometimes I'm thinking about one of the other personalities when I'm with her, or vice versa, where like remembering who you're dealing with every time is super important. Because, like with her, when she was swishing her tail, in that moment, I could see right away she was swishing her tail, and I knew it was because I was touching her, but I didn't think of it as she doesn't want me to touch her, I need more friendly game. I was thinking of it as like bourbon. Okay, maybe I moved too soon. Let
Mhm.
me start again and go much slower, right?
Yes. And that's friendly game. That whatever it is, whatever the game is that you're playing, if it ends up in her having more confidence, then that's the confidence game. That's the
Mm,
game that you want to be playing. And I'm always, even in Bourbon, even in Scotty, and even in Dante's, it's like it's really tough to sit there and go, I need to build a Dante's confidence because he's so confident. But
yeah.
there's times when he's not confident. Out on the trail, he'll stand and be like, I'm not going. And I'm like, and then you have to be such a strong leader for that. And you have to be so focused and so determined. And so this is where we're going. And I think too, if you want to come out and work with horses and figure this stuff out, like come to Daniela's place or in New York, or come to my place down in Florida, depending on the time of year. And summer up there, winter down here, because it's really important to know and get that. Why I was so focused all the time was because I was out playing with the horses, and I haven't been playing with my horses as much lately, and I've lost that focus because they teach me to have that mental, that neuropathy over and over and over. I'm out there for hours, and all I am is focused and decisive, and it creates that, builds that muscle for you. So
of course, especially because it's something you're so good at too, being with the horses. So of course, it's once you get focused in that, naturally the confidence is just flaming, right? Because it be a piece of you, as opposed to working on a project that maybe, you're not an expert in, and then the Bella energy comes out and it's like, what am I doing?
What am I doing? And you question. So here's what I'll say. I learned something hugely valuable out of this. Well, number one, I got to be where my horses are. And that's going to happen in just a few weeks. I'm so excited. I have to, because what happens is I'll go out and I'll play with them. And wasn't always good. And there was a time where I really was quite terrible, but then I would come in and then I would have those neurons wiring and firing and grouping together. That's when I should come in and get focused and be at my computer, is right after I go play with the horses, because my brain's thinking that way already.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great distinction. About no wonder I wake up and I'm here in my apartment and my horses are over there and I'm trying to be what I need to be. And this is not my zone of genius. What an interesting distinction. I have a feeling both of us do that.
Well, that's why I'm working so hard these days to have a team that can handle the things that are not my expertise. They're not my wheelhouse. I know what is my skill set. And if I'm not able to do that with ease and enjoyment because I have all the pressure of all of these other things, it of course it then it's messing with what I do have, my what is my superpower, because now it's like, oh, I'm just burnt out from this. Now I don't even have the energy for this. And I've put myself in a position where to go and fill myself up with my horses is really challenging. I got to drive a long distance. I got to deal with people I don't want to talk to. Like the one time I go out to the barn, this is nobody's fault or anything, and I have no ill will about anything that happened. But the one time, I've been out there in weeks, I go out there, and the minute I get there, people start roaming around the barn and people start talking to me, and like, I need to move my car because the hay delivery is going to show up today. It comes once a month. And I'm like, seriously? Like, the one time I'm out here for a grand total of 45 minutes, and this is what I have to deal with. This is exactly why I don't come out here, because I don't want to deal with that. And it takes away from all the joy of what you just shared with Rose. That was really pretty. It was very nice, very lovely session. And keep doing that, and the cool thing is, like Rose's, they don't need to do a bunch of different stuff. You could do that for a month and do probably not much else. And she would be like, the circle figure 8 game, woohoo! Because it makes her feel good because she's good at it. Right. So. Well, and I have a new person who wants to help. And so she has experience with horses. So I think what I'm going to do, because I think it's great for us to do it like this until the last Friday of the month, where if people want to come on site, especially because like today it's pouring. I wouldn't have been able to be out there anyway, but she's going to come next Wednesday and I'm going to play with all 3 of them while she's here. We're going to groom each one before we come out. I'm going to set up my camera to record. I don't need someone to record because this works good. And I think that is super helpful, because again, even sometimes just doing this, it's like, if it's just me, then I'm setting up the cameras, setting up the microphones, getting the horses ready, making sure I have water, make sure, and then it's like, so
by the time you get in the ring with the horse, you're already exhausted.
Well, that's just it, and I think that's
Yeah.
why that was the day, you remember, where we were having technical difficulties, and you were
Right.
like, do you want to just, do it another day? And I said, you know what? I have her out. I'll just record it,
Perfect.
And it was great because it was like, oh, I don't have to worry about, is the speaker working? Is this working? Because
You get decision fatigue. You do. You get decision fatigue and you get tired. And I don't know, but any entrepreneurs out there, you guys need a break. You need to have like a something to come and fill yourself back up. How about little, what is it? Dolce far niente. Like, come
yeah,
on, let's go do a little bit of nothing for a hot minute and let your brain just take your brain off the hot stove, man.
yeah,
Take all that shit, all that pressure you're putting on yourself, all of those things. Everything is going to work out. And the more you can just relax and be still, the more those answers will come to you. A perfect example is what happened when I woke up this morning and my Bella brain was going bananas because my external factors were coming up. I'm on a deadline, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, oh my God. And I thought I was going to have a heart. Like I was like getting upset and worried. And wait a minute, I don't want to feel upset and worried. I want to feel this way. So, and when you do that, certain habits and behaviors have to stop because those certain habits and behaviors put you in a space where you feel that way. And the way you were helping Rose, what I loved is that you let her roll, you let her process, you let her go through her thing, and you got a much better result than you would have gotten had you not done that. Because she
oh
would
yeah,
about how
because
to express herself.
she's definitely the personality that, like, if she can't and you're stopping her, then it's like I mean, and I've done it, I've learned, right? Because there's been times where she's, reared up at me because it's like, you're too much, stop,
Right.
and I'm like, I'm sorry.
Well, and it's two schools of thought because sometimes they need a little tough love. Sometimes when they rear up, you need to go, all right, you want to rear up, you got energy to go up, you got energy to go back. Come on, stay. But
Yeah.
that's horsemanship, knowing when to be and where to be and why to be and what to do when you get there and how far to take it without pushing them off the cliff.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
that's, I feel like that is something you're born with. I'm not sure if that can necessarily be taught. It's just
I
like,
know it can be taught.
well, because when you think about, I know in golf and probably many other sports, they call it the feel. The
Yes.
feel, the feel really can't necessarily be taught because
No.
when you're, when you have a golf ball and the hole is 5 feet away, you have to feel how hard you got to hit that, right? Like, and maybe it can be taught. I could be wrong. Listen, but
You can't teach feel. You have to experience
well,
feel.
that's what I mean. Because like in those moments with her, even she reared up at me for a second when I was trying to do the hind end yield, right? And it was like, okay, I hear you. And I'm actually, I wasn't sure. Like, it's funny in that moment, I was like, man, I wonder what Jen's gonna say, about this. Like, because it was a moment of like, all right, I recognize that I've blown past something for
Yep.
you, right?
Yep.
But I'm not going to stop because I said I was going to do this. And when I say I'm going to do this, I want to follow through and do
Correct.
this. Right. So it was
Yeah.
like, I'll go slower, but I'm going to keep going, and
Correct.
so there, I'm not sure if, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I have the feel with the horses because there's a lot of times where I'm like unsure about what the right step is. I think I've come a long way. I think I've
That's
done
right. You sure have.
so,
Very
and
long.
that's great, but there's always more that can be done, right? I mean, it's like anything else, but
Mhm. I think you have come a long way. And I think I think you have better innate feel than you think because when multiple times throughout that session, I was like, right there. And then you're right there, you would stop and you would see it. So you're seeing more than maybe you're giving yourself credit for. And that's, we all tend to do that. We all tend to say, well, I got
right. And how do I do that in my everyday? Because there
every day.
are, I
And that's,
mean,
you've taught me that too, because you're like, Jen, you just like pain way too much. Why don't we just go and acknowledge the things that you've done well for 5 minutes, 5 minutes. And I'm like, shit, because you can't build on failure. You can learn from failure, but you can only build on success. So we're going to go build some more, learn from our failures as fast as humanly possible, and build on our successes and revel in them, enjoy them, and like feel of them. And that's what I loved about that session, is that, you know, where was the technique perfect? No. Where could the figure eights have been rounder and more concentric and more Madonna boobs? Sure. But was the conversation a kind? Was it a kind conversation? Was there compassion? Do you have an opportunity to speak and she have an opportunity to speak? Was there an open flow between the two of you? You know, and the answer is yes. And I don't know about you, but she's going to want to do the figure eight better, or whatever it is you're asking her. Next time, she's going to be more engaged in the conversation and more at peace to be able to share what she's going through with you, because you know, she knows that you're going to be benevolent with her. And that is a beautiful session, no matter what the result is.
Yeah.
Like specifically around the task, is the communication kind? Like that's a big deal with me with the horses, because sometimes kindness can come across as a little bit of a, you know,
right. Tough love, right?
A little bit of a tough love. Like there was that situation where she kind of popped up a little, and you're like, maybe I should back off, because the times where you lean in, you know, those are the ones that test those are the ones that'll test your skills, for sure. Yeah. And you did great. I think that was a quality session.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, you guys, that's it for us today. Funday Fridays every week, every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And if you want to come to one of the retreats up in New York or down in Florida, the next retreat is in New York. The last weekend, it's the Dolce Far Niente, the Sweetness of Doing Nothing weekend retreat at Daniela's. And I'll post. Do you have the?
It's on my page. I have an event on my Facebook page. On my Instagram is the link in my bio has the link. So
perfect. I just put her website there so you guys
can you can go to the website and go to upcoming events and you'll find it there. It's the Sweet Nothing Retreat. And
Sweet Nothing. I love it. All right, ladies and gents, remember to believe in yourself. It will change your life. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next Friday.
Bye.